Well, let's start. So, in our session today, let's understand about the incremental loads on multiple tables. Come on, let's get started now. It's an interesting and simple item. Bit lengthy, but very interesting. Let's do it carefully step by step. So, what we are going to learn? Yes, on my screen. We are going to learn how to perform incremental loads, from source to destination on say multiple tables, say two or more tables in a loop using the for each activity in ADF. We'll take the input source tables. We'll take the input as source tables, and for each source input, we need to have some processing on watermark columns, timestamp columns. Identify the new row inserts, existing row updates, nothing but incremental load concept. New row inserts, existing row updates. I mean, get the data and perform those insert updates onto the destination table. So in this process, we use stored procedures. One procedure for each business table to perform merge operations. I repeat, we require a procedure for each of the input tables to perform dynamic merge operations. An additional watermark table to maintain the timestamps, and a procedure to perform an update of the timestamp based on the ETL activity. Once the ETL operation is completely processed, then the timestamp should be updated to watermark table. So watermark table contains old timestamp, source table contains new timestamp. So get older watermark value from watermark table, new watermark value always from the source table, because source is keeping on getting itself up to date. Source is OLTP environment, and you are updating the current new watermark value to watermark table, so that next time you perform ETL, this new watermark of current ETL becomes the old watermark. And what about the new watermark at that time? From the source, you get the new watermark. For example, today at 6 a.m., you are performing some ETL activity, very first time. Then the 6 a.m. would be new watermark value, or any date and time which is near to 6 a.m. where there was some DML operations at the source. Assume at 6 a.m. you perform some ETL. At 6 a.m. is the new watermark value. No old watermark right now, because first time you are loading the data. After 2 or 3 hours, you are again performing the incremental loads. The 6 a.m. is supposed to be stored in the watermark table by a procedure during the very first ETL execution, so that at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whenever you are performing ETL, so 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock is in old watermark table, 9 o'clock is in new source table, or the source table here, new watermark. So 6 to 9 called data delta. The difference, incremental loads will happen. Let's do it carefully, step by step. So here is our solution plan. We are supposed to have total of 5 activities today in this example, for each activity. Inside for each activity, we need to have a lookup activity to get old watermark value, lookup activity to get new watermark value, old from watermark table, new from source table. And in between 1 and 2, the data delta would be identified at the source, copy it to the sink, and update the watermark table on the watermark procedure or using the watermark procedure. So black boxes are pertaining to the watermark entities. Table name, it is something that we have to provide at runtime. So we need to use parameters. We need to have a table name parameter which has to be supplied to every activity. And we require watermark column. Sorry for the type, it's column, watermark column name. That is required to be provided here for 1 as well as for 2 to get the watermark value. In fact, for 1, the watermark column is fixed. We'll do it now. And 2, it changes for every business table. So one business table may have 1 watermark column. Second business table may have other watermark column. But every business table should have some watermark column or the other. That's a mandatory requirement, a prerequisite for this example. Every business table should have a specific watermark column. And after you identify the data delta, perform incremental loads, then update the watermark table. For this update, we need to have a stored procedure. So we need to supply the procedure name, SP for merge operation, and then update the watermark table. So one procedure for merge activity per table, per business table, one common procedure for watermark updates. When we say one procedure per business table, the merge statement inside the procedure should be dynamic. So we need to supply the data type also, table data type. So for every table, we need to supply a collection of 4 values in one single parameter. We call it as array parameter. Let's get started now. How to implement this concept? So remember, array parameter, 4 parameter names and values. Array would be supplied to the entire pipeline. Out of 4 parameter values, procedure name, merge procedure, data type only for box 3, watermark column name only for box 2, table name required for every activity. Let's do it carefully. So firstly, configure the source. I'll just launch SSMS. You'll be given source script and sync script. Let me just put them in a proper order here. Source and sync. And this is our example plan. And you'll be receiving this set of 6 files. Yes, let's configure the source. So here is the example plan. You'll be having a source with few columns and a timestamp. Another source table table 1 source, table 2 source, another timestamp column. Sync, you require the table structure as it is. You may have some extra columns. We need to define a data type and a procedure for dynamic merge activities. You are aware of merge statement in SQL. The same merge statement here, but we'll just make it dynamic by using a parameter in a procedure. Watermark table. Well, and also you require a watermark column with a stored procedure to update or to ensure updated watermark, updated watermark value for the table involved in the ETL. This is a concept. So we need to have a pipeline next. After we configure the source and the sync, then the next part we'll understand how to create a pipeline with for each activity. Inside for each activity we need table name. Get the table name from the parameter. So here using an array parameter. Why array? Because you require table name. You require a table name and watermark column, and you have SP for merge statement and table type, table data type, I mean this one. Get table name from the parameter. From the array parameter we need to get the table name, latest timestamp from the watermark value, that's nothing but the old watermark, latest timestamp from the source table, nothing but the new watermark, then copy data. In copy data we have source, sync, get the data delta and perform data loads, and update the watermark table with new watermark value using the watermark procedure. Here it is. I'll call it as watermark procedure. This one. With this information, let's do it carefully step by step. And here it is. When we say like array parameter, for every table, the parameter format would be in this way. It's a JSON format with key colon value, key colon value, a JSON format with key colon value pair. For one table you have 4 values, second table again another 4 values, everything inside one JSON record. Say example parameter. Well, let's do it carefully. Let's start with source configuration first, sync configuration next. Then we'll go for pipelines. So here we go. Let's connect to the source server. You'll be receiving the .SQL scripts. So we are right now performing the source configurations. This one. Here we are right now source database. The left side black box. Take a screenshot here. So you got the source server ready. It can be your local server. In your local server, I'll make sure I'll include the source script. The source has only 2 tables. to make it clear and simple. The example, source has only two different tables. So create a database in your local computer. I'll just make sure I'll show you the complete example. So create database and connect database. I create two tables. Okay, every table should have a timestamp column. See there, timestamp column may be different, but there should be a timestamp column. Last modified date, creation time, table name 1, table name 2. So these two tables and respective columns will go to parameter table name, first table, second table, watermark column, last modified date, creation time. Here it is, last modified date, creation time. Then we insert some data. It can be any data. For now I'm taking some older data values like this. And now here it is, customer table, project table. Have a look at it. Here we go, customer table and product table. Let's see. With this information now, so your source tables are ready. Let's go to the incremental one, sync script. Okay, the second script. In fact, the second script would be to your Azure environment. Let's connect to our Azure SQL server. Let's connect to the Azure SQL server, your regular SQL server sync. So source is local server, and sync in this example would be your Azure SQL server. Go to Azure SQL server and go to the Azure SQL database, whatever database you created, regular Azure SQL database, and let's have the sync. Let's wait. Yes, here it is. Create customer table where in the Azure environment, project table. As per the diagram, see here, we require one more table called watermark table. So here it is, watermark table. So total there are three tables. Customer table, first ID, name, and modified date for timestamp. Have a look at it. Okay, next. So here we go. Same way, project table, project name, creation time, same as the source. Project name, creation time. Source and destination structures are identical. And you have a watermark table. This watermark table is required to track all the watermark values across multiple tables, something like this. Now our requirement. Let's see our requirement. Let's understand how these watermark tables actually work. Assume a table, customer table. By 12 a.m. there are 10 rows at the source. By 1 a.m. you perform some ADF pipeline triggering. Then all 10 rows will be loaded to the sync. At 2 a.m. assume there are 5 new rows and 3 existing rows. No other changes thereafter. At 3 a.m., whenever you perform ADF pipeline execution, it has to track all changes since 1 a.m., right? Since latest ADF pipeline execution. That means that 1 a.m. timestamp should be stored somewhere. Yes, it is there in the watermark table. The latest DML timestamp is taken from the timestamp column of the source table to watermark table, so that we can easily check 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. changes. So the ADF pipeline execution timestamp or the latest source modification timestamp is maintained in watermark table. Anyone you can use, either ADF execution timestamp or source table timestamp, either of these. For each source table, create a procedure to perform incremental loads. Create type name, create type name. Why we require data type? For merge statement. We know syntax for merge. Merge target using source. Here it is taken from the customer table parameter of data type, this one, data type for customer table. So merge target using source on condition. Here parentheses are optional, on condition. When matched, then what we do? Update. When not matched, insert. When matched, then update. Set name equal to source dot name and modified modify name equal to source dot last modify type. This way. Have a look at it. When matched, then update. Set name equal to source dot name and modify name equal to source dot last modify date. What are these? Yes, name equal to source dot name. This is a source dot name. This name is nothing but the target table name. Here we go. I'll just put this way. Name. Target table name equal to source table dot name. Target table last modified date equal to source table dot last modified date. When not matched, what we do? Simply insert source dot person ID, name and modified date. In this example, person ID is a fixed attribute. Name, last modified date are changing attributes. Same way for the second table also, create a data type like this. Once you create a data type based on the table structure, then perform merge statement. Merge target using source on condition, regular join condition. When matched, then update set target table creation time equal to source table creation time. If not matched, insert. This way you configure the tables, data types and procedures. 3 tables, 3 procedures. Next, this is about the configuration part. Your source tables ready and sync tables ready. Watermark also ready. Next, go to ADF. You configure ADF. First you create the ADF resource. Then firstly we need to create the linked services. Before we step into the pipelines, let's create linked services. So you got the source ready Sync ready. Now go to manage this one. Go to manage and integration runtime. By default, we know there is an auto resolving runtime. We are now supposed to establish connection to our local SQL server on premise. The source is in on premise. In our example, say new, click on new, self-hosted integration runtime. This one, self-hosted integration runtime, continue. I'll call it self-hosted IR, give some name, say create, this one, just click create. Then it will prompt you to download and install one integration runtime. Click, it will take you to the download link. We need to install a bridge. We need to install a bridge called the integration runtime. I'll take the latest one. You may take any one of your choice from the list. Now let's get continued here. I'll put this way. While it is going on, it will take some time to get download and install. Download will take only few seconds. Installation will take some time. In the meantime, let's put this way. To make it easier and simple, yes, let's put this way here. Assume you have a source and a sink. Okay, something like this. You got the source and the sink. And it is something like this. Let's wait. It's almost done with the integration. Runtime download. We'll start the installation. Click. So we are right now installing the integration runtime. Let's wait. Yes, it will take some time. Let's start the installation here. And while the installation is going on, it will take some time, about 2 to 3 minutes. Let's see. This is your computer, right? Your computer. Inside your computer, you are installing one integration runtime. This is called the self-hosted IR. Okay, so here it is. This is your self-hosted IR. Next. So here we go. This self-hosted IR, I'll just put this way. Next. Installation is still going on. So this one. And you have SQL server with you. This is your SQL server. Okay, something like this. This is your SQL server in your computer. This SQL server would be communicating with the self-hosted IR. This is a concept. So something like this. I'll just put this way. Yes, something like this. Next, this will be your Azure environment. This is our Azure environment. And inside Azure, you have a similar SQL server. So here it is. Okay. Now our requirement. Requirement is, so inside Azure SQL server, this is our Azure SQL server. Our requirement is to perform the incremental loads. That's it. Okay. So these are actual block diagram for our example. Now self-hosted IR will take it to ADF pipeline. This is your ADF. This one. These are actual ADF environment. The Azure Data Factory environment. And ADF environment will give it to the actual SQL server for the incremental load, something like this. By this time, my installation is almost done. Finish. Once installation is complete, final step, it will give you a prompt to enter the key, authentication key. Okay. While creating the self-hosted IR in ADF, you got a key, right? This one, either key 1 or key 2, any one. Copy the key and paste it. Make sure it is validated. If not, regenerate the key. Regenerate the key and use it. Register. Finish. This would take few moments time to connect to the cloud service. It will take few moments time. So right now we are installing a bridging component called self-hosted integration IR to communicate with our local data centers via SQL server or anything. Can be any type of data center. The same self-hosted IR is okay. It's enough. Either for SQL server or any other database data centers. Now it's almost done. Back to our screen. Click close. Just click close. Initially you may see like this, unavailable. Now next few moments this will get initialized. It would take some time to get the initialization. So after initializing the integration runtime, let's wait for some time here. Yes, it is done. After integration, say integration runtime initialization, click close and refresh. Click on refresh. Now make sure it is running fine. Okay. Once you have the integration runtime ready, go to linked service, click on plus new. Let's create the linked services. I would take SQL Server. I'll call it as source linked service. Source linked service. Give some meaningful names. Source should be in your computer. So select self-hosted IR. Next. Provide the server name. Provide the server name. This one, your local SQL server. Database name. I'm using the source database. Authentication type. Anything is okay as per your local computer or local data centers configuration. I'm using my Windows account. How to get this Windows account? Simple. While connecting through SSMS to your local SQL server, you will see your username, right? This one, this username. While connecting to your local server, you will see your username A/B and its password. I mean your Windows regular login password. Test connection. In case sometimes in few corporate networks, outside firewalls may be disabled. You may need to tell your network admins to add 443 firewall as an exception. Otherwise, test connection fails. Remember the port number 443. Click test connection. Let's wait. Click on create. Click on create. Next. Your source linked service is ready. Then comes new link service. I'll take Azure SQL. This one. Our destination is Azure SQL, right? So this is sync linked service. Source linked service, now sync linked service. You can make use of the auto resolving runtime here. Within Azure, it is auto resolving runtime. Provide the required database name, authentication, username. Provide the required username and password. Test connection. Let's make sure we provide the correct username and password. Let's wait. Once it is successfully connected, say create. So this way we get total of 2 linked services. This two should be enough. Staging is optional anyway. Next. So what we did so far, we configured the source, destination, backend activities. Now we stepped into ADF. Here again you got source and sync, destination linked services. Then we need to start our actual ADF concept. Well, so that would be the next part separately. You'll do this carefully first.